Hello, everybody. Mariner here. I'm going to say it right away. What are you waiting for? It's time. It's time. We've had, how many weeks of preparation? But our drafts are so close to completion now. Well, maybe. Unless you've been listening to Nima and his marathon rate my team, and you've been upset by his 1 out of 10s. Who knows? But
you've been launching Obafemi's at him.
Yeah. But what to do? You will watch that other program anyway. This is the matchup show. Never mind the Compass show. We're gonna have a bit of a competition on that Hall, I think. And we have got, as usual, with us, Gabe. How are you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Good morning to you guys. Good morning to everybody. This is exciting. I can't believe we're launching.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got our chief mate as well, or maybe chief engineer. I'm not quite sure. But anyway, Surya, how are you doing, my friend?
All good, Chris. Nice to be here again. It's been quite some time since the live watching that we did for Gameweek 38, and I think Bale was the one that saved me, Gabe, if you remember. So it's quite the journey, long time preparing, writing a lot of blogs, doing a lot of videos, but this is what all it matters, and looking forward to the show. Yeah.
Good. Are you all tinkered out? Are you all tinkered out?
Yeah.
Are you all tinkered out?
Yeah, mostly 90%. That's what all of us say, but then mostly settled in. Yeah.
Well, we'll see that a bit later on when we look, because we are going to reveal our teams as they are at this moment.
That's the caveat.
That's the caveat. They might still change. So, okay, let's dive into it, shall we, and see what's going on. First of all, we're just going to remind everybody that as we have hit 1,000 subscribers, thank you so much, everybody. We have now donated $100 to the Heart Fund, which is a chosen charity. Gabe picked it. I think it's worldwide, Gabe, right?
It's a global charity. What I like about it is that 100% of their donations go to actual operations, the field operations. So none of it gets lost in bureaucracy and red tape. I like that there's a focus on child heart health awareness and nutrition. So yeah, they're quite complete, and then they're a great operation. And they're global, like that Hall is global. So it's a good fit for us.
Yeah. So the donation's done, and when we get to 2,000 subscribers, guys, we're going to do it again. Yep. So become a hauler. That's what you are. You know. Tell me, what do you want? Do you want a hauler's T-shirt? We can design anything. We've got all sorts of ideas here at the moment. We're really buzzing within that Hall, and of course, you know, please do give us a like. Please hit that subscribe button. You know, we haven't got Nima on today, so we haven't got the Pikachu outfit. So I'm not quite sure we're going to be able to get any forfeits. But look, if we hit 50 likes, Nima's going to do a forfeit on Tuesday night. He doesn't know that yet, but he is. So please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. Keep in touch with That Hall. We're also a pod. And the pod's really flying along as well, thanks to the sterling work that Nima's done on that, I have to say. I think it's hundreds of downloads a week now, which is quite remarkable considering we've only just been going a few weeks. So that's marvellous. So look, wherever you are, if you want to just put us in your ears instead of taking a look at our ugly mugs, that's entirely up to you. But we'll be happy that you join us whichever way you choose. Okay, one other announcement before we get into it. Finally, the last of these announcements, Mini League, still open. FG1XNB is the code. You can find the link in YouTube. You can find the link on Twitter. And to remind you, the first prize is a box from Shirt Loot Box, at Shirt Loot Box. So we've got a shirt, nice. So not only are we teaching you, we're now clothing you. Secondly, we've also got a book from Matt Whelan from FPL Obsessed. He's offered a signed book if you want it in hard copy, or equally just a Kindle version if you prefer it that way. And you don't
clothing and education.
Yeah, clothing and education. So yeah, so if you don't want his signature, you can just have it on Kindle. And finally, there's the fantasy football fix subscription as well, which is a 1-year subscription there. And as I say, you've already seen us using that. So thank you very much to everybody. And look, take us on, take Big Man on, take Tom Stevenson on, take the rest of us on. You'll get a shout out at the end of each month. And of course, you'll get a shout out when we finally get to the end of the season. We haven't started yet. So, okay, Gabe, as always, we're going to start with you today. And we're going to go for another philosophy of the week. And, you know, I might just play the tumbleweed if I don't quite figure it out. I've got it all lined up.
You do.
So if you get cut off mid-show, you'll know that I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so, then it's a given, right?
Well, that's quite possibly that I have no idea what you're talking about, because Mariner in philosophy doesn't really go, does it?
I feel like this is a trap. The tumbleweeds are like lined up.
It's a trap. I'm ready. Right. Fire away. Here's your moment.
All right, here we go. So in recent weeks, I've done this philosophy of the week segment, and I've gone a lot to Eastern philosophies. I'm moving west for this week's philosophy. Do you want to share that slide there, Mariner?
Oh, have I not put it on the screen?
No, you have not.
That's the first cock up of the week.
I told you this was a trap, so you're not falling for it.
Oh, there we go. It's typical, isn't it? What goes on there? There we go.
There we go.
I think you'd prefer to see us rather than that stupid slide anyway. And all these other slides, of course, which I forgot. Look. Hang on a minute. Here's the other slides, which I didn't show. Look, here we go. Look.
There we go. We're going to get to those at some point.
I'll blame it on red wine. Carry on.
So this week's quote comes from Friedrich Nietzsche. And the quote is, "You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star." And honestly, like what jumped out at me initially from this quote is that it resonates with kind of the Little Prince, and that kind of idea really speaks to me. But also just in our, as we approach FPL, having chaos within us is kind of like feeling the variance in life, like. Shit happens and it's guaranteed it will happen. So you need to have space for that chaos. If you don't, if you think everything is predictable and everything is deterministic, then when things do unravel, then you are going to unravel with them. So hold space for chaos within you, get ready for variance this season, and it's about how we respond to that variance. So, and responding to it gives birth to a dancing star. And I love that metaphor because Friedrich Nietzsche, he also had a quote something like a life without dancing, or a day without dancing is a mistaken day, or something like that. He was very much he very much valued dancing. So this leads us to our dancing star, which is the Little Prince pick of the week, and it's an old favorite of ours. It's if you hit the space there, he'll appear on the screen for us.
Well, what do I have to hit the space bar? Do I?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a graphic. I didn't know there was animation there.
There should be animation.
Hang on. Oh, it's not working. It didn't work.
There we go. Well, anyways, this week's Little Prince pick of the week is a guy that's going. It's an old friend for potato salad lovers everywhere. It's Tomas Souček, and it's Souček because he's going up against a Newcastle team that conceded the second most headed chances last season, and there was just something about him. We have a special relationship with Souček, and that kind of like speaks to my heart. So I'm going there with a little bit of stat and a lot of love.
Well, there we go. I mean, look, I'm sorry, Gabe. I actually don't think I dropped that slide in, although I thought I just downloaded your slides straight in anyway. But anyway, never mind. Who cares? For potato salad lovers everywhere, Tomas Souček, eh? So what are you waiting for? Why not Tomas Souček this week? Get him in your teams. Gabe says so.
I think he's going to have a good week. And I mentioned I mentioned this on the Compass show that a Benrahma Souček double up initially. 2 out of the first 3 games because they also play Palace, and they were the worst against headed chances. So 2 out of those first 3 games, I think a Benrahma Souček double up is quite sexy. I'm not going there myself for the record.
No, I didn't think you would. I mean, look, I think you say it shit happens. What I say when say shit happens in FPL is never fear. You've got your wild card. So no matter how much drama you've had in the last few days trying to put your draft together, like me, like Surya, like everybody else, we've all had the same problem. Just relax, because you've always got your wild card you can play if it goes to shit. That's what I've been saying to a few people in the last few days. So chaos rules, and I've seen a few people like chaos in this group. Look, I'm just going to look through say hello to a few people, and then we're going to really crack on with it. So who have we got on? We've got Jamie. Hello, mate. Masha. We're getting we've got the Asian group in tonight. So Rushdil. Hi, mate. From Singapore. Hello, Blue Danube guy. Doesn't matter what time of day we're on. Blue Danube guy's on. AK's here. Oh, Nima's here. Pikachu. Hello, my friend. Jared, hi Jared. Right, hello Nathaniel. AK. I've got Surya's here. Oh, hello Surya. FPL Insights, Gravy Dave, Dread FPL, Nihal, Ramanthan, Thavindra Raj, and I've just had a message from John Dykes. Hiya, John. Pleased you're watching us. So yeah, it's nice to be here, guys. Please get involved in the chat. This is what we are about. We love, and Alex is here as well. So hi, guys. Right. Should we get into it? Should we see what's going to go on this week? Let's see if we can make any more mistakes. I think Baker's already got 3 or 4 TikToks for me. we would have been going 12 minutes. I reckon I've filled up the TikTok for the next season.
Can you just put up the donation slide one more time a little bit? I just want to show that a little bit.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. There's the donation.
So there's the donation.
So yeah,
and so looking forward to doing that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry for buggering that up. Right. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're going to look at the engine room. This is what we're going to do within that haul. So we've got our chief engineer on with Surya. So I mean, you know, anyone who picks Christian Benteke in his team and people like that, you know. Yeah, I gave you so much shit for that last year, and
yeah, I think you and Gabe gave me a lot of shit for Bale, but then Bale
Bale threw it right back at me, didn't he?
That was
right back in my face. Bale.
Yeah. So anyway, right, what we're going to do then, this engine room then, this is the engine room is where everything starts from. So what you're going to see is you're going to see the fixture difficulty, and then what we're going to do, and this week Gabe's not doing too much of his matchups because there's not a lot of matchups to actually do this week, Gabe, is there?
Yeah, no, I mean, the matchups are a reflection of what's happened and then, you know, looking at what's to come. But
yes.
But the matchups, that they will be posted. They'll all be posted in a thread on Twitter, and you'll have links to every single team. So that'll be finished at some point today. I will refer to those stats in our conversations here.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But the aim is tonight is to predict those hauls. So we're going to try and show you the games that we think you're going to get. There's going to be 2.5 goals or more. We're going to try and predict where the clean sheets come from. We're going to look for a potential defensive hauler of the week. And we're also, providing I've updated the slides, also, which I'm not sure I have now thinking about it, whether there's the trap of the week's in there as well. One new thing we're going to do, and this I think I'm really quite proud of this actually, and Gabe and I have been working on this through the summer, is we've actually done matchups by zones on the pitch. So that is a new thing that you're going to see. So I think hopefully if you like statistics, you'll like this. If not, switch off now.
So just to kind of get behind the evolution of this, it's a metric that that shows the matchups for each team on each area of the field. This I used to write about this in the matchups articles, but it's great to have this part automated, and then it allows the matchups to explore other new and exciting stats as well.
Yeah. So let's get into it then. So we're going to have a look at fixture difficulty. I know it's been done to death, but we've got to start with it. We'll try and cover it as quickly as we can. So I'm not going to explain how our fixture difficulty works because most of you know by now. Okay. And if not, go back to some of our evergreen content, which has been we've spouted for around the last 6 weeks, every week about how it works. But very simply, 0 best, 7 worst. We look at attack against, we look at attack at home, attack away, defense at home, defense away, and we work out basis things like the raw data there, the XG against XG conceded, shots in the box, big chances, all against one another. So we're matchups again. So we're comparing how they do. So remember, for people who are watching, green is good, red is bad. All right. So firstly, attack. The top 6 teams, and this is their raw data. This is just their number between 0 and 7. So if you're going into Ben Krellin's spreadsheet with these numbers, that's what you put into your own rankings in the side, rather than using Ben's numbers. Shout out to Ben, I love his stuff. So anyway, Manchester City would have a attack fixture difficulty of 1, the best, followed by Liverpool 1.2. This is at home. Chelsea 1.8, Leicester 2.4, Manchester United 2.5, Leeds 2.7. And at the bottom, reading back up, Palace 4.5, they'd be bottom. Brentford 4.5, Norwich 4.4, Arsenal 3.9, Wolves 3.8, Villa 3.6. And attacking away, we would have Liverpool at the top at 1.5, Man City 2, Chelsea 2.2, Leicester 2.5, Manchester United 2.8, and West Ham 3.0, replacing Leeds. And at the bottom, reading up, Watford 4.7, they'd be bottom. They drop a long way based on the previous records. And I think, let me just explain on why Watford's data's there. We actually use 1920 data as well for Watford, because they've actually been in the Premier League when there was fans in the ground. One of the things which we needed to consider. Norwich 4.3, Wolves 4.3, Brighton 4.2, dropping into the bottom 6 away from home, replacing Arsenal. Palace 4.1, still down there, and Everton away from home as well. I'm going to cover the defence, guys, and I'll bring you in. For defensive fixture difficulty, the best ranked defences at home are City 1.9, Chelsea 2.1, Brighton 2.2, Spurs and Leeds 2.9, Leeds 2.9, fourth best for defence at home based on my fixture difficulty. And reading up at the bottom, reading up should say, Brentford 5, Norwich 4.9, Burnley 4.1, Villa 3.9, West Ham 3.9, Newcastle 3.9. An away defence, and this is where it becomes a bit interesting. Manchester United 2.3, City 2.4, Chelsea 2.5, Arsenal 2.9, Leicester 2.9, Everton 3.4. Not a lot changes there. But at the bottom, Leeds dropped from, 5th with respect to rankings for defence at home to 20th away. So they crash off a cliff. Southampton drop from mid-table to 19th at 4.9. Newcastle drop a bit further to 4.6. Palace are still around there, Brentford and Watford. Now, of course, what we don't know is we don't know about the effect of fans in the ground. This is new. Last year, we never even had home and away. And I think let's just have before we start going to the details of these actual matches, guys, let's just talk about what's changed. And I think how difficult fixture difficulty will probably have it will probably find it quite tough for the first few weeks. But Surya, can I come to you first? What's your perspective on how you think these, basically what you've seen and also what you expect to happen?
Yeah, so to be honest, we've been very much comfortable last season, knowing that there wasn't any factor of home and away being a crucial thing in FPL. But then you could notice that difference as the motivation factor was there and the fans were being phased in. Cavani was a great example towards the fag end of last season. He was striving to play in front of the Old Trafford faithful, and I think he did score a worldie. Of course, offside or not, that was another case of Bruno. But then, yeah, it's going to be a huge factor. I think players are going to thrive. And as you said, that Leeds defense away and United at home, that's going to be a classic example. So, the fans have not seen their favorite players play in the stadium as well for quite some time. So that's going to be added more chance, more getting behind players. So that's going to be a lot of excitement. And this should be another motivation factor for players to go well, go hard, go get those points for the fans. So this is going to be huge, and I should firmly believe that players, FPL managers, us ourselves need to keep this in mind before picking our team, because we have been fairly seen Man City beating teams without fans, 5 goals, 6 goals over the last 18 months or so. But I feel it's going to be a huge thing this season around. And in fact, you say Watford, Brentford are all data from Championship. I think they should also to put up a big fight. And Brentford don't go down easily. They are in the Premier League for the very first time, and they are going to give Arsenal a fight for their bucks. And Tuni seems to know his FPL ownership as well. He's been informed. He's been owned by 3 million managers. So I think he's going to get something for us tomorrow night. Yeah.
We'll see about that. Gabe, can I bring you on the difference between Leeds, home and away? Have you got any perspective on that? I've been talking to a few, a couple of Leeds fans, and there's a bit of head scratching going on. There's been mention of, could it be the pitch was just so bad that nobody could attack at home? And if they've relaid the pitch, will that change everything? But it's a bit tongue-in-cheek. But what's your perspective?
I mean, I think that's a fair perspective, and certainly something to look at. I don't know if I have a perspective, to be perfectly honest. I think we don't have any any comparison. Last season was such a unique thing, and it's so to go back and look at. I mean, I think it's almost a fool's errand. I think it's impossible to tell. The pitch does, it could be that, sure, that they're used to it. It could be just like markers, like you're used to your surroundings, and you operate better and more efficiently when you have an innate kind of awareness of your surroundings. So it could be something like that. It could be something to do with emotion. But yeah, I have no idea.
It's a very strange one. It just seems quite extreme, but it really does focus the mind on, for example, this matchup this week away at Manchester United, right? And this is where it becomes interesting.
I do think that the home teams in game week, especially in game week 1, there's something special about game week 1, and I think the home teams have a serious advantage.
Yeah. Be interesting to see, and therefore, 1 or 2 of these games, we'll come on to the games in a few minutes, but there's 1 or 2 games where there might not be what you expect. I think there could be 1 or 2 traps out there, I think, and we'll come on to that anyway. So right, let's look at these fixtures themselves and the actual matchups. Okay, so here they are. So I'm not going to read all the fixtures, but look, it's very simple. Look for the greens, look for the reds, attack and defense again. Who's got the best matchups? Well, I'll come on to that in a second, but look, let's be obvious. We can see it very clearly that the teams with the very best matchups are Liverpool and Chelsea. Liverpool away at Norwich, Chelsea at home to Palace, Manchester United against Leeds, still pretty positive. Everton against Southampton, that remains to be seen. A lot's changed at Everton. And Arsenal, among others, have quite positive matchups with respect to attack and defensive. Defensive-wise, look how little green there is. I think that's the first thing which I notice, and that immediately points me away from too many defenders. In my perspective, I think it almost locks in 3 starting defenders for me. Just looking at this. You're looking at Arsenal against Brentford. We've just spoken about how that can go wrong. Chelsea obviously have a very, very good matchup against Palace. Well,
I think that's it.
We'll come on to that one, but I'm gonna give you a perspective on this one. And then there's a few others which are reasonable, but apart from that, not a great deal. So right, let's go into the actual summaries. And so there you go, top to bottom. So attack, there's your best ones. We're looking at Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Everton, Arsenal. Defensive-wise, Chelsea, Arsenal, Leicester, Liverpool, and Manchester United. An average, so your attacking defenders, your Luke Shaws of this world, your TAAs, Manchester City, Liverpool, Manchester United, Chelsea, and Leicester have the best matchups when it comes to an average sort of player. So if we look at the attacking matchups, we'll see that Liverpool have got, there's 4 teams with deltas of 2 or higher. And I think at that point, we're starting to get to a stage where we're thinking someone can give someone a bit of a battering, potentially. We don't know. These are arbitrary numbers, guys. But when we come onto these in a second, you'll see where I'm coming from. But defensive-wise, you'll only see there's only one with a delta of 2, and Arsenal next at 1.6. So, Gabe, anything you spot here before we go into the individual games? Are you with me? Are you seeing few clean sheets this week?
I mean, so I was on big at the back in one of my early tinkers, and it was seeing your the matchups here in the FDR that kind of led me away from that. And yeah, I think you're right. I think there could be goals, not because there are. I think there was a study, I don't remember who did it, that actually concluded that there weren't. Maybe it was a WGTA, that there weren't more goals on the first game week of the season. I think it was Tom at WGTA that looked into that, and it's just like any other game week. But I think this is a special day. It will be a special day, and I think I would agree with it. I don't see many clean sheets this week.
Yeah, I think that's how I feel anyway. Surya, are you with us on that one?
Yeah, I would stick, because as I said about the Arsenal-Brentford game, except for Chelsea, I don't see a lot of clean sheets here. I don't even see Brighton keeping one. I think Burnley are being underscored. So there should be goals a lot, just like how we ended game week 38, where we just said just pick 3 defenders, go for the ones who can get you attacking preference and put your money in the front. I think that's going to be the case for game week 1 too. Except for Chelsea, I don't see teams keeping a clean sheet in game 1. That includes United too. I think Leeds will definitely score. So yeah.
I mean, when you look at a lot of the teams of like that we have assets in, right? Like Brighton, a lot of people have Brighton defense. Brighton is away, right? And it looks like Chris Wood will be back. A lot of people have Villa players. Villa is away. A lot of, if you want Spurs, for example, but Spurs is home, but they're playing against City. West Ham players, and West Ham is away. So a lot of the matchups just don't. It just doesn't match up well for the defenses, I think, or then in the players that we have.
Yeah, I think. I think 2 seasons back, Norwich too scored a goal on opening day. So even Liverpool didn't keep a clean sheet 2 seasons back. So yeah.
Well, we'll see that. Yeah. Because funny you'll say that, but I think that's where we're going first. Surprisingly enough, there's already been comments. Nathaniel's Norwich versus Liverpool will surely have 2.5 goals. Well, Nathaniel, we agree with you.
Nathaniel is a Norwich fan, so he's there. So
nice.
He's a Norwich fan. Yeah.
He's a Norwich fan as well.
Yeah, he's
all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to Carrow Road, and I'll tell you what, it can be a bit intimidating. I've been there as a Grimsby fan many years ago, and I'll tell you what, that place will be rocking.
Yeah.
There'll be Dahlia shouting, "Where are you? Let's be having you!" What the? Dahlia will be there. Oh, crikey! It'll be hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's all right. I'm losing it again as usual. Let's look at this matchup. Norwich, defensively at home, 4.9, ranked 19th, against Liverpool, 1.5, ranked 1st. Okay, you've got my attention. Okay, so 3.4 positive. All right, give or take a bit of rounding. Liverpool, and I haven't got Norwich data, so I can't compare them both. But look, let me tell you where the chances come for Liverpool. Okay, top for chances created from the centre, 5 per 90. Second for chances created from the right, 4.6 per 90. This is season data, last season's season data. And equal 7th for chances created from the left. So not quite so good from there at 3.3 per 90. I'm going to quote Draft Hound this year. in this show because I quite like, and we've got FPL Salah Abdul, who often quotes, and Abdul's a friend of the pod, so please do follow Abdul, and do go back to the special when he very kindly came onto our show and have a look at what he said, because he's a great, well, what he knows, what he's probably forgotten more about FPL than I'll ever know. But Draft Hound has Liverpool they're at 50% for 2.5 goals or above. That's pretty high, right? Let's be honest. And these I'm not a gambler, but when people who are predicting things for gambling, these bookies tend to know what they're on about at the end of the day. Last year Salah started with a 20-point haul, right? Same again, guys? Entirely possible. Mane ended with a 16-point haul in game week 38. Got me, my captaincy of Mane was still one of my best moments of last season. Could he do it again? Jota, less nailed, but 5.09 points per 90 in the last 6 game weeks, even off the bench. Trent, there's lots of options. Tsimikas, we'll have a chat about him as well. Double or even treble is certainly not out of the question, guys. First of all, let's have a chat about the Jota against Tsimikas side of things. So, Surya, where do you sit on Jota or Tsimikas? Because I think most people will have Trent and Salah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ignore Mane. We can come to Mane in a bit, but let's just look at that Jota Tsimikas, because I think that's the key one.
Yeah. So one thing that I would like to share is that last season worked out pretty well for me. That was my best FPL season, and one thing that I did pretty well was reducing my defensive transfers. So having Tsimikas in your team locks up that third Liverpool spot. Maybe that could go for Mane, that could go for Jota. But the thing is here that people miss out. People are fairly under the assumption that Mane is out of form. He's been doing well pretty much towards the end of the last season, and we saw how well he was in game week 38 against Palace. He played really well. He's been in good touch in the preseason as well. And Jota too is a really good option. If you have Tsimikas, and say the best probability is that Robbo comes back game week 3, or probably even after the international break with game week 4, you have an option for 3 weeks. And Liverpool play Chelsea in game week 3, so you have him for at the max 2 weeks. So even Robbo comes back game week 3, it doesn't matter. You have him for 2 weeks, and then you're going to waste 2 transfers on him. So I don't think that's wise. And this is pretty similar to Mitchell from last season, Crystal Palace. Same. He played for 6 weeks, dropped to 3.9 million. Tsimikas is going up like this in terms of ownership. He was 1% and Robbo injury came in. I think he's around 15% now already. So he's expected to be around 20-25% owned, and he's surely going to drop like flies when Robbo comes back. So that's going to cause an imbalance in the team. I am not up for it going right away with defender down. But there's 2 cases to it. I put out a tweet on this, and I got really banged for this. And I think Late Racer 2 agreed with me. we got banged so much for telling it. But it's 2 ways. It's hard to predict at the moment. But I would still say it's better off going without him. Yeah.
But I mean, you haven't really answered my question. Would you go for Jota though instead, or would you go for neither?
See, at the moment, I wouldn't go for Jota. That is pretty sure. But it's just a matter of fact. If I would have Tsimikas, I'd just have 2 players and probably bring Mane in some way or the other when their fixtures turn. Yeah. So that's my plan. Yeah. But you don't see other good 4 million options too. But I did put Tsimikas in my draft and kept for now. But that might change. This is just a temporary draft. Yeah. Disclaimer, so because people might jump on it later.
I mean, I said, when Vestergaard's going to go to Leicester, the other 4.0 option was Amati. So Amati's in the mud and Southampton are in the shit, was what I tweeted earlier. Look, with respect to Tsimikas, I actually am in a slightly different frame of mind to you. I just think you don't look a gift horse in the mat. I think you go for it. And I think you just rot him on the bench and then just wild card him out. I mean, look, Gabe, you've already said that it's your perspective that you're probably going to wild card early to try and jump on price changes and things like that. I think, you know, as long as you don't take too many risks, and that's why I think a 3-4-3 works better for Civitas than actually any other formation, actually, because you've got a little bit more, and you maybe need to have something built around him. And the people who I've seen who are building around him with White and Ayling, because White and Ayling, both of them rotate really nice. So you can just rot him. You just rot him for, if you have to, for 3 or 4 weeks. You just rot him on the bench if you're wild out in game week 7. So for me, I just don't think, I didn't like him to start with, but the more I look at it, the more I like him.
And I'll say, is he like Mitchell, like from last year, or is he going to be like Justin? You know, the way, you know, so we don't know, obviously, and only hindsight will be able to confirm that. But the way I see it is the way Robbo rolled his ankle, that's probably, I'm guessing, at least a 4-week injury, which would put him back right around after the international break. But maybe not. So and at 4.0, you can, like you were saying, Mariner, you can just stick him on the end of your bench and
rot him on the bench.
But you know, I think what Surya was saying is that blocks you from, say, bringing in Mane. And I would say if you're looking to bring in Mane, you should have him for game week 1, and then figure your team up from the very beginning.
We'll come on to Mane a bit later. Yeah. Mane does make an appearance later on in one of our sections for sure. Jota, very briefly, because I think Jota, we haven't really touched on him, covered him too much. I think I prefer the gamble on Civitas against Jota. I think there's more chance of getting more value out of him than Jota, because I think if Firmino is, you've always got that risk of sharing time, right? I mean, we know that Jota can come off the bench in 20 minutes and return. We know that. But if we've got any other punts in our team, is Jota one step too far? For me, I think he probably is, and that's why I'm not on him.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the same way. I feel like there are other 7.5 million assets in midfield with less risk.
Not everybody agrees.
No. Team Jota. I mean, the upside is there, right? I mean, there's no question. There's no question the upside is there. And if you think about it, Jota was brought in to press, to help in the pressing game. And Norwich, a team that's recently promoted, Klopp, it would make sense for Klopp to really press them hard and just get up nice and early. That being said, do you want to build on Firmino's confidence after his recent performances in preseason? You know, maybe if he's looking at himself like his role is decreasing, do you want to build on that and just go with Firmino? Like, that's the big risk. The upside is there for sure, undeniably, but the risk is pretty heavy, I find.
There's a risk there for sure. Just 1 minute, I want to bring up Mane. Look at Liverpool from the left, 7th, equal 7th for chances from their left. Robertson's not in the team now. Is that going to damage them even further down that left side? What's any perspective on that? Because it's just something that just sort of like jumped out at me when I started to do this zonal sort of matchups. Is that gonna hurt them? Is that gonna hurt them even more?
I don't think so, because I just found a beautiful subreddit thing that Zofus had. I think Tsimikas too is very good attacking. Of course, it was a preseason game. He was bouncing upside on the left side. It was very impressive, and there isn't much of a difference in terms of Norwich. So they are going to attack through the left. Of course, he's not going to be another Robbo, but I still feel that it's not going to impact them very badly. That guy could get in an assist easily. So yeah. Okay. So if LR is listening,
yeah, no, that's okay. I just wanted just a 1 minute perspective actually from somebody, because it is something that people might think about.
Yeah, I think the key that I'll say for Liverpool and their attack, and I think for not just for this matchup but for the season in general, is what they do with their chances in the box. So they had, if you look at their attacking stats, they line up and really very much in line with Manchester City's attacking stats. However, the production was nowhere near Manchester City's. And a big reason for that is their inefficiency with shots in the box. So they had a few more shots in the box than Manchester City last season. But Liverpool only scored 59 goals from shots in the box compared to Manchester City's 72. I think that's kind of how their attack is going to be. They're going to get the ball as quickly as possible to the box. And like we were saying, Mane ended the season in good form, and he's continued in good form. So I don't think the loss of Robertson will affect Mane too much in this matchup, but it could in the next few.
Okay, cool. All right, so that's Liverpool. So we're predicting greater than 2.5 goals. We're suggesting at least 2, if not trebling up. Yes, and look, let's not forget that Liverpool's matchups for the foreseeable future are very, apart from 1 or 2 weeks, are very tasty indeed. In fact, I reckon there's probably 5 out of 6 weeks you could captain Salah without too much without thinking too deeply. Bit boring though, isn't it? Right, next, let's have a look at the second matchup, which we predict 2.5 goals or more, and that's Chelsea against Palace. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's fairly obvious, but look, let's put it into numbers. Chelsea's attack, a +3 matchup, 3rd in home rankings, 1.6 versus Palace, 18th in away defence, 4.6. Palace are in a rebuild. I actually quite like some of the players they've signed, but they're still in a rebuild, whether we like it. There's plenty of upside for Chelsea, but there's injuries and there's players not. It's still a little bit all over the place. But look, Draft Hound have got them at 42% for 2.5 goals or more. Who have we got who are of interest? I'll just give you some rough numbers. Havertz, we've obviously got Havertz. Only, I think in the last 6, only played 179 minutes. But when he was on the pitch, 1.02 XG per 90, 0.16 XA, 9.3 expected points per 90. You know, when he's on the pitch, he looks like he's going to produce something. Mount, I would have suggested he would have been in. I would even contemplating picking Mount actually in my team, but of course he's late back. I can't make a case for Werner, but given the embarrassment of riches around the 7.5 mark, to be honest, for forwards, that might change, Gabe, might it? When is Lukaku, has he signed? I didn't see that he'd actually formally signed yet. But
it looks like I saw a tweet this morning saying that Lukaku won't be in the lineup for this weekend against Palace.
But even then, the point we're going to make about Werner going forwards is Werner might finally have someone who can finish off the stuff which he's creating, right?
Yeah, so that's something that I wrote about regarding Chelsea. So Werner had 10 assists last season, which actually kind of stood out and surprised me. I think moving to the left and having a target like Lukaku, he could have 13 to 15 assists. That would not surprise me at all this season. He's been a good provider. Even if he can't finish or hasn't been able to in the Premier League yet. Yeah, I think he could have a sneaky good season, and I think he could find his way into our teams at some point. Maybe double game weeks or something like that comes up, but not to start.
Me owning Timo Werner after last season, that's like my chair collapsing. That's like nearly putting Joe Linton into the algorithm.
There is a question in the chat from you can't have Joe Linton. There's a question in the chat from Ramanathan, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Apologies if not. How do we predict the squad now after last night 120 minutes playtime? So I think that's an interesting point in the Super Cup. There they went. First of all, it's ridiculous that they go to extra time in these matches. They need to go straight to penalty kicks after 90 minutes. But anyway, that's a separate point. These boys played a lot, and I Tuchel rotation, the Tuchel turntables or whatever we're calling it, is going to be in full effect. So it's just tough to predict.
It is, and I think this is where we're coming. Let's look at this matchup, right? It's amazing, isn't it? Look at the key areas, and again, to remind you, this is where we're starting to look at the two teams here. So, Chelsea, On their Chelsea attacks down Chelsea's left. Okay, they're third for chances created, 3.7 per 90 against Palace's defence on the right, conceding 3.5 per 90. So that gives us 3.6. Chelsea's centre, 3.4, fifth for created chances through the middle against Palace, 11th, 3.2, conceded 3.3. But look at Chelsea's right. Chelsea's right, 4.6 chances per 90, first against Palace, last, 3.8. So that's 4.2 chances per 90. Now, someone, please tell me who is playing down Chelsea's right, because I'm on them like a bloody car bonnet. Who? Come on, someone, tell me. Bloody tell me.
Well, Reece James didn't get any minutes yesterday, so it makes sense for Reece James to start this match.
I'm so pissed off. I've had this lined up for about a week, and I just don't know who it is. You know, who could it be? Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi. I mean, Ziyech is injured now, so he's out. What a nightmare. Is it going to be Dave Azpilicueta? I mean,
I think it's going to be SP, personally.
The trouble is, though, is that it's just too much. And I think actually where you're coming from here, and look, let's face it, these are fantastic matchups, right? Yeah. These are really, really good matchups, certainly down the right and down the left. If I knew what was going to happen, I would probably have a Chelsea player in my team. But I don't know what's happening. And it's you know, as a stat man, it actually breaks my heart a little bit, because I would really love to bring one in. And I mean, look, Havertz is going to come up in conversation a bit later. Lukaku's not going to play. Havertz might be that option.
Yeah, Lukaku is to isolate till Monday, so he's not playing Gameweek 1.
Yeah. So probably Havertz. But
anyway, even if we did know for Gameweek 1, we wouldn't know for Gameweek 2. And I think that's the problem. That's the problem with Chelsea.
You're almost locking a move in, aren't you?
It's such a shame that you find the haul, you find the matchup, but then you don't find the right player to get from there. Yeah. So
well, isn't that life? Isn't that life?
Yeah. It's a tough gig. It's a tough gig, yeah.
Yeah. So, right. So the moral of the story here is, if you can work out who it is, and you're happy to jump off them next week, if you wanted to, you know, I know some people are looking at Havertz to Mahrez or Havertz to Son and people like that. I've seen people talking about that. It's not the worst thing to think about by any means, in my opinion. I just don't like locking moves in game week 2, but that's just me. If you want to do it, by all means, do it. Right, okay. So that's the Chelsea game. Right, here's the next one. That's Manchester United against Leeds. So we're going down in order of the deltas for the matchups. But look, Manchester United attack again, 5th, 2.5, versus statistically, put my teeth in, statistically, the worst defence away from home in Leeds at 5.1. Draft Town, similar, 37%, a bit lower. Maybe it doesn't quite see the matchup the same as I do on this occasion. But look, let's face it, we've got Bruno, even Bruno, not in form, you know, 9th in the last 6, 5.8 expected points, 8th for XG, 0.42, 3rd for expected goal involvement at 44%. Greenwood, who is really interesting me, I've got to be honest. I know you, Gabe, we're going to have a discusussion about this one. You don't. Last 6, he was 4th for expected points at 6.8, 4th for expected goals at 0.57, 4th for expected goal involvement at 42%, and rested. And that's what I like about Greenwood. He is raring to go. And it looks like Martial's, I think, I might be wrong, but I think Martial's out for a bit longer. I'm sure I saw something today in the corner of my eye on Twitter which says that Martial wasn't ready and he wouldn't be for a few weeks. Cavani is obviously not ready, not quite ready either. So I think Greenwood's fair. I like Greenwood, you know. And look at these chances. And this is where I want to bring you boys in, right? Because this is right up your street. Manchester United left side, 4.6 first for chances created against Leeds on their right, 16th at 3.6. That's a 4.1. That's very green. In the centre, 6th. Manchester United 6th at 3.3 versus Leeds 20th at 4.6. That's a +4, right? And down the right, Manchester 8th at 3 and Leeds left at 10th at 2.93. So that's a bit more. You'll see from the colours there, you'll see what I'm thinking is good here. Right, I'm going to say the names. Luke Shaw, right? Greenwood, Bruno. But, Gabe, who's going to head the ball into the net? Because Leeds concede a load of chances, but have Manchester United got anyone up the pitch apart from, unless it's a set piece, who can head a ball?
I mean, yeah, from set pieces, it's obvious, right? And they do have a new set piece coach that has come in, right? And there's already a fruit that's bearing from that. But in the flow of play, if they're looking at so those of you that are looking at Greenwood, right, they're going up against a team that concedes headed chances, but Greenwood is not good in the air. He provides almost no aerial threat. So like last season, Manchester United completed they had the 3rd highest cross completion and the 5th most headed shots. But Greenwood, he doesn't complement that style of attack. Because let's see, here it is. His attack success rate is only 28.2% in the air for aerial duels. So I don't see him getting on the end of crosses or anything like that in the air. Greenwood is more like he completes 0.45 dribbles per 90 that lead to a shot. And what's also interesting is Greenwood's shots lead to other shots. 0.29 of Greenwood shots lead to another shot. And then I think that's interesting. But when looking so my concern with Manchester United is I do like Shaw, obviously. The matchup is there for him. I would like Cavani if he was playing in that center role more than Greenwood. But who's going to play? Is it going to be Dan James? It's Manchester United first for chances created from the left. Well, they have players there. They have Rashford and Shaw, but Rashford isn't going to be there. Sancho isn't going to be there. Martial isn't going to be there. So who's going to play there? If it's Dan James, I don't think that's first. I think that drops to mid-table at best. So I don't like that matchup so much anymore if it's Dan James.
Interesting. I mean, look, one thing we are going to try and do is we were going to try and predict whether a defender might get that elusive double return, and one of the players I did consider was Luke Shaw from the basis of that matchup down the left. But look, I mean, Leeds, they will. I'm sure Leeds will create chances. I'm sure they will, and these matchups are okay for Leeds. Left from their left as attacking 3.6 against Manchester United's right, conceding 2.8, 3.2. It's about average. Down the centre, not so much, but down the right, Leeds are creating 3.7 chances per 90, 5th against Manchester United, slightly worse, 11th down there, so at 2.9. So I think there's a chance there as well. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Manchester United concede. That's my view. Surya, where are you coming from?
Yeah, I think 5-2 last season, United were leading, and then still they conceded. Bamford scored, and Bamford is pretty good on headers. He has the joint most header attempts last season, 33 if I'm not wrong, and second most headed goals as well. And United, how much ever they try, we are very bad in terms of set pieces and aerial defending. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Bamford scores or if Leeds score. It's not going to surprise me, but it's always going to be score one more goal than the opponent. I think Ole goes by how Saf used to play towards the end. So I think that's goals written over that game. United still aren't defensively stable over the preseason. We missed most of our defenders. So I think the chance of clean sheet is still less. I think Bamford could score. I think Bamford is flirting in my draft as well.
And there was a question from Banger.
Let me interject here regarding United, because actually Manchester United, their defensively they're good in the air, They conceded the 4th fewest headed shots last season, 66. So I don't see Bamford getting a headed goal. But what Surya was mentioning is a good point as well, that back line is not going to be what it will be this season. They're still very much in flux, and that could create uncertainty.
Yeah. And just a quick question from FPL Banger. It looks like it'll be Siver on. So Maguire and Shaw for a double up for some aerial bombardment. I really like Maguire as this week as an option. Yeah. I really like him.
If you get some defensive stability from United, I think doubling up is not bad, because 5.5, it's 11 million. You get two great defenders who could give you attacking returns as well combined. So, but then I think doubling up going right away is quite ambitious. But some part of the season that really intrigues all FPL managers.
Yeah, well, I'm still cleaning beer off the ceiling from the Euros when Maguire scored a header. So, I'm all for that. I like that.
He even got a good penalty too, so you never know.
Even the triple with Bruno, since Bruno's on set pieces, like anyone taking set pieces and Maguire with this new coach in town, I think that's an interesting play.
Cool. So that's the attacking one. Look, I could have brought Everton up, guys. We're not going to cover it, and I'll tell you why. They have got a good matchup against Southampton. In fact, maybe we should have brought them up now we know Vestergaard's going. But Everton, from my perspective, I'm talking as a Calvert-Lewin owner of the start of last season. Why did I bring him in? I brought him in at the start of last season because Everton had more of a creative midfield. I see that has disappeared again, as far as I'm concerned at the moment, and therefore I'm not going to cover them. But Everton have a positive matchup of 2.2 against Southampton. I'm not discounting them. Richarli Troll is back apparently, fresh from his gold medal at the Olympics, and I'm not sure whether he'll jump straight back into the team or not, but he may have to. But I've stopped short of giving them the nod for a 2.5 goals or more this week. Right, let's look at the clean sheets. This isn't going to take us long. I think I dropped that in earlier on. And come on, guys, who's going to be the clean sheet? Please tell me. It's fairly obvious, isn't it? Chelsea. Look, draft down of them at 61%. This is prime Brighton double up territory, right? This is poor old Sweng's dunk pick from last season. It was so every time you bring a Brighton defender in last season, then they conceded. Please God, it doesn't happen to Chelsea this week. But look, second at home for defence, ranked 1. Palace 4.2 away, ranked 18. No Eze. A team in transition, albeit not looking terrible in pre-season. I've seen a few highlights of them. They don't look too bad, but crikey. The only thing which worries me is the fact that Chelsea played 120 minutes yesterday. But I'm close to calling Chelsea fixture proof, guys, with respect to defence. And look, I can see someone at the bottom of that screen who's chuckling away to himself even now that I was saying I'm not bringing a Chelsea defender in game week 26 last season for the double game week, and Gabe was going, I'm bringing Rudiger in. I don't care, Chris. And I was going, well, you're gonna miss. You're not gonna have any clean sheets that week. What's the point of bringing him in? And he got 2 clean sheets. So look, there's an example of what Chelsea can do against top sides. They can keep clean sheets.
Yeah.
So I think they're virtually fixture proof, and I think I wouldn't be at all objectionable to see a Chelsea defender in people's drafts.
Which one?
Wouldn't be at all objectionable.
Which one?
Rudiger. Rudiger for me. That's who I would go for if I was going to bring one in at this moment in time. I can't trust anyone else. I could bring another player up. I'll bring him up in a few minutes, but there's rumours he might be leaving. What do you think, guys? Look at this matchups. I mean, Palace 2.4 chances from, if you look at average of 2.4 expected to be creating down the left, 2.4 through the middle, and 1.9 from the right. I mean, this could be a very hard day at the office for Crystal Palace. What do you think?
It'll be a rough inaugural game for Patrick Vieira for sure. We expect it to be. But I think you hit on an important point. If you are starting with a Chelsea asset, or at least certainly a Chelsea defender, you're going into it with the idea that they are fixture proof. So the next two matches you see, if you look at the FDR, it looks red, but you're going like, well, this is the best defense in the league, and they could clean against anybody. So I think that's the mentality if you're going in with the Chelsea asset. And you mentioned Rudiger, I guess probably the most nailed back there. So yeah, that makes sense. It's that rotation that it's going to throw people off.
I mean, look, again, it's one of those ones which it's quite heartbreaking when you look at it. It's just a shame that these fixtures aren't quite so tasty going forwards. But I mean, look, at worst comes to worst, you could bench Rudiger if you wanted to. I don't think I would. I think if I owned Rudiger, I think I'd just play him.
You have to play him. 5.5.
I'd just play him. Surya, any views on this matchup? I mean, have you considered a Chelsea defender?
See, that's what I just mentioned to you before. It's so nice to see these numbers, but then not knowing which player to pick. And it's not that they come cheap. I think last season they were cheap, but then they are not this time around. And you can't float 5-6 million on your defender and just gamble on them. So that's not going to work. And I think the matchups are there. But one thing that I really like to point out as a football fan, not away from numbers, is that Palace always love playing Chelsea, and there is a notorious guy called Zaha and Benteke. They both love scoring against big teams. They always turn up against big teams like Liverpool and Chelsea. For some reason, they have a very strange love-hate relationship with when they play against Chelsea. So never know. Zaha could pitch in one for Vieira as well. As I said, opening days could be a gamble. It could go all well or all wrong, and it's too much of a rotation risk for me to consider Chelsea defender. But of course, numbers are there, and if anyone wants to gamble, they should be there. Yeah.
No, I mean, look, this is another gamble. This is another option I had at 5.5, and this is where I was with Rudiger, and in the end, I've left him alone. But to be honest, I've also left the other player alone at this moment. It's still in my thoughts. But wouldn't I sooner own John Stones at 5.5 than Rudiger at 5.5? John Stones has got a little bit more attacking threat there. Fixtures are better going forward, quite reasonable going forward, albeit not in game week 1. But for me, I love. But like I say, 5.5 Rudiger for just a clean sheet. Is that enough? I don't know. But look, let's face it, we can discuss Chelsea till the cows come home, can't we? But they are a very good shout for a clean sheet this week. I think that's the way I'd say it. Right, the next one we're going to put, and this is a little bit of a left. This is a bit left field. I'm not sure you saw this, Surya, because I spoke to you about yesterday and I didn't bring this one up. But I've picked one. I haven't picked Arsenal against Brentford. And the reason I haven't is because I own Tony and I expect him to score. No, actually. I should have said I hope he scores. Actually, I've seen enough of Arsenal, and is Nima still on? But I've seen Banger's here. So look, let's wind him up. I've seen enough of Arsenal in pre-season to think they might concede the odd goal. So I just think Brentford might score, and that's why I've not picked them. But the game I've picked it's an interesting one. I picked Wolves against Leicester.
Yeah.
And why have I picked it? Well, the book is pointing me in the direction of it because Drafthound had them at 45% for an expected clean sheet. And I was like, how have they thought of that? I need to get my head around this and try and figure out what's gone on. And Gabe and I had a chat off air this lunchtime, Singapore time. And basically what I've come up with is that I think they might cancel each other out. So you've got Wolves with attack at home 3.8 against Leicester defence at 2.8. That suggests that Wolves might not score. And you've got Wolves defence at 3.1 against Leicester's attack at 2.6. That's fairly neutral. So that could also mean that they don't score. If you look at the matchups or the chances created, Gabe, I'll bring you in on this as well. I think it's very worthwhile hearing your views on this, because Leicester are one of the teams that I think you did this week, was it? Was it last week? This week. So Leicester, you know, Wolves against Wolves. So let's start with Wolves then. So Wolves on the left, 2.7 against Leicester's right defence, 2.6. That's 2.7. Not much to shout home about. In fact, centres again, not much too much to shout home about 2.7. And Wolves' right, 3.4 against Leicester's left. So where Wolves improve, so do Leicester. Right? So that again suggests that where Wolves are stronger, Leicester is stronger, so it might cancel it out. Leicester, on the other hand, attacking 19th on the left. 19th? Where the hell has that come from? How could Leicester be 19th best down the left-hand side? I checked it. It's right. Against Wolves on the right, 10th, 3.3. So that's a 2.8. That's not great for that reason. Leicester in the centre, 3.7. Pretty good. Third. Against Wolves in the centre, 9th, 2.5. Again, Wolves aren't bad. We know Wolves are pretty good in defence, right? Centre-halves, we know they're fairly strong. And Leicester on the right, 6th at 3.4 against Wolves on their left, 12th at 2.8 is 3.1. These are pretty neutral. These don't scream. This game doesn't scream goals to me. And that's why do you know what? Look, I'm going to stick my head out here. I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw.
Oh, I think I might disagree, Chris, because I've had some conversation, but yeah, I think you don't notice this guy, I Test FPL, Stevie. I think he quite rightly pointed out that Wolves have been trying a high line, just like how Southampton tried out at the beginning of last season, and then they have been conceding quite the chances. They are compact in the center but open on the wings. Something that Barnes can benefit more because he's a direct, and he is not a creator of his own. He's a finisher. I checked his numbers. He just created one big chance all of last season for someone who plays in the wing. So I still feel it's a very good matchup for Leicester, and not just Leicester, for even Bruno in Gameweek 3 when they play Wolves. And this home and away thing as well is quite opening my eyes. And I know Barnes would be the first one to go in because he's building his fitness, and that's probably Paxton Daka and also Iheanacho on the bench. But still, 60-70 minutes is very good for him because I think Leicester could score 2-3. I wouldn't say it's going to be a very high scoring one, and I even see Wolves might score one, maybe by the fact that Leicester have so many injuries at the back. There is no Evans, there is no Fofana, there is Amate playing at centre back most likely because Vestergaard wouldn't clear Gameweek 1 even if it's confirmed. So maybe 2-1 it would be my prediction, but then my eyes are out and to see how Wolves defend because Bruno Gameweek 3 is a very good captain choice as it stands.
Yeah, we'll see next week. We will have a debate about this outside of this conversation. I mean, look, let's face it. You know what I'm like. I'm looking at numbers and I'm trying to predict it basis numbers, and this is what we've got to do. This is why we don't spoon feed people. This is why numbers don't mean everything. This is why you need to have this other perspective, and that's why you've got the numbers man and you've got the eye test man, who I'm going to bring in now. Gabe, what's your perspective on this game? Who do you think might benefit? I mean, is it really that bad on Leicester's left?
Yeah, it is, and I think that's what the attack from Leicester's left is. I think Surya is maybe being a little sentimental with Harvey Barnes.
Look, let's face it, you hate him anyway.
Barnes is basically our bail game. Barnes is basically bail for this season, yeah.
Barnes is our bail for this season, that's right. But I mean, so
yeah, he's that.
You can see Leicester's attack, 19th from the left-hand side. Leicester's 75.3% of Leicester's chances came from the center or the right. So they very much neglect that left-hand side. I actually like Ricardo Pereira in this match. Leicester's right side going against Wolves' left side, which is 12th. And here's the other thing that I'll mention, these numbers are very interesting, but these numbers are pre-Bruno Lage. And Bruno Lage is not going to sit back. He's not going to, wait for Leicester. And that's what causes Leicester difficulties, when teams sit back on them and then they have to extend themselves. I mean, if I think Leicester are going to, I think Iheanacho could have a big role. And I don't think he's going to start. But I think he's going to change Leicester like he has done recently when he comes on. So just on Iheanacho a little bit. So like Leicester had the second highest XG delta last season. So they overperformed their XG by 11.86. And Iheanacho's goal involvement, we remember some of his wonder strikes. His goal involvement when he started was 47%. So I think they're starting to rely very much on Iheanacho to score goals. And I just can't think that he'll stay on the bench for very long. So I do think there'll be goals. I think Lage will overextend himself, but I think those goals will come from kind of like Ricardo Pereira will be involved in there.
I reckon Brodge has drank too many bottles of wine. I mean, look, I would play Iheanacho every day of the week. I would play him. For goodness sake, the bloke was on fire at the end of last season. Everything, he came on the Charity Shield and changed the game. I mean, what's Roger? I mean, has Brodge been on the pop? I reckon he's been on the pop.
Yeah, I mean, Vardy should be rotating with a young Daka, and Iheanacho should be nailed.
You're probably better off bringing Vardy off the bench for 30 minutes in the second half and just letting him loose.
I think so.
Probably, yeah, I think you probably do. It's the wrong way around. He's been on the booze, 100%. That's another one for Baker. Right, let's have a quick look at another game. And this is now we're going to look at slightly different. We've gone on a little bit a long time on this because we've been talking about drafts as well. And normally we wouldn't be talking about drafts. But look, let's talk about a game in focus, Gabe. We picked one game that we really want to focus on because I think there's a lot of conversation about it. And then what we'll do, we'll dive into the trap, dive into the double hauler. Then we'll hit the captaincy and the algo, and then we'll get out of here. So let's have a look at the game in focus. And this is, for me, guys, is the game. If I can find this on TV, I'm going to watch it. Because I really like the look of this game. I think it could be a cracker.
For those listening to the podcast, the game is Newcastle versus Leicester.
I was just about to announce that.
Sorry.
I was just about to announce that. Newcastle against West Ham. Do you mind?
Very good. Yes.
So anyway, draft hound. Let's go through these draft hound numbers. I like these draft hound numbers. West Ham 44% win. Newcastle 30% win. West Ham 17%, 2.5 goals. A bit low actually. I'm a bit shocked about that. Newcastle 12% for 2.5 goals. Not shocked about that. West Ham clean sheet 33%. Newcastle clean sheet 25%. Right. Let's look at these matchups, guys. Newcastle attack at home 3.3, ranked 12. West Ham 4.4, not good. Away 14th. Soufal, are we sure? Next one. Newcastle at home defense 3.9, ranked 15th. West Ham 3 attack, ranked 6th. Now I'm interested. So now looking at the key areas, and I think this is where it gets really interesting. Looking at Newcastle, on the left, I mean, their numbers that for people who are watching, you can see the colours, white and red. Not great. Left, 16th at 2.5 against West Ham defensive, 12th on the right, 2.9. Centre, 2.8. Right, 2.8 chances per 90. Nothing much to write home about there. Although, what tends to happen, guys, is Newcastle don't always get a lot of chances, but just recently they've been sticking them away. Is the way I look at it. Gabe, did you check that out for me? Newcastle, are they about on target, or are they with respect to scoring?
I have it right here.
Yeah, because I mean, what we're saying is they're not particularly great, but they seem to be scoring.
Yeah, and we spoke about this as well. Their XG delta is pretty much on par with their XG. It's they overperformed their XG by 1.65. Now, what I don't know, what I didn't look into is what the XG delta was maybe earlier on in the year versus later on in the year. Okay.
It sounds like someone's a bit pissed off that Willock's got to Newcastle as well. Poor old Sibber. We love Sibber. Sorry, guys.
I would add to what Gabe said as well. Yeah.
I just had to put that comment up on the screen, guys. Sorry for the podcasters. You're just going to just let us fall about laughing. Let's look at West Ham, though. West Ham on the left, 7th best at 3.3 chances per 90 against Newcastle on their right, defensively, last at 4.1. 3.7 chances per 90 expected. West Ham through the centre, 15th at 2.7, but Newcastle 18th at 4.3. So strange enough. But West Ham on the right, 9th, 2.9 against Newcastle on their left, 3 against 3. So you've got left and centre for West Ham is where, in my opinion, it's going to happen. Gabe, what's your view?
Yeah, I mean, I love the center, you know, and that's why Souček is the little prince pick of this week. But
it would have been if I'd put him on the slide.
He'll have to live in our hearts instead of since we can't see him. But no, I agree. But I think Newcastle score here. Newcastle are home. So this is one of those where the stats look like in West Ham's favor, but Newcastle are playing home. Callum Wilson is healthy for his one match of the season.
For now.
Exactly.
Oh, no. Hammy's good. The battle of Hammy. Yeah, it's Wilson. It's
the battle of the glass hamstrings, and I think both glass hamstrings score.
Well, I wouldn't be all surprised. I mean, look, if anyone's got the balls to put both Antonio and Wilson in their team, please let me know in the chat. Because kudos to you if you have.
I have them both in a draft league. Jared, or no.
But draft leagues for 1 week, innit?
No, it's a season.
It's not. Oh, no. Right. Okay. All right. Sorry, I don't understand this bloody draft. I don't know how it bloody works. Anyway, like I say, I'm a dinosaur when it comes to stuff like that. But look, tell me, we've obviously mentioned Antonio. What about the left? I mean, I would have said Ben Rama, but he seems like he's now playing more central, like central attacking midfield role. I love Ben Rama, by the way. I think he's a great shout. We'll come on to him a bit later. But who's going to go down their left side? Did you? I didn't have a chance to check, Gabe.
I think it's Fornals has played there. It could be Pablo Fornals. It depends also what formation they're playing. If they're playing 4 at the back or 3 at the back. But I think Cresswell is a great shout because of the headed chances, the chances conceded down the middle, and then compare that with his set pieces, corners and free kicks. And I think Cresswell is a fantastic shout. Even if he doesn't get a clean sheet, I think he's a good pick.
And I'm not sure they will. Skip past this because I'm going to bring you in on the next section, and I'm not sure you know who this is, but what we're going to do now is we're going to try and predict who from defense may get that elusive double haul this week, right? Because let's face it, that's what we want, isn't it? And who's it going to be? This is a bit of fun, but we're going to go with Kurt Zouma. There we go. There's the shout. I'm going to try. Look at this matchup. Chelsea are going to get chances down the middle. Palace can't defend headers to save their life, or they couldn't last season anyway. And I know people will say it's a clean slate. But yeah, it is. But they've not changed that many players in the team, and I still think Zouma is a monster, right? I predicted him last year he would get a headed goal, and he did. I'm going to go for it again, and there we go. There's my call. I think Zouma is probably a man if you want that double haul this week. I don't know what you guys have. You got anyone else? Would you think of anyone else? Who's going to keep that clean sheet? We know about We know about that clean sheet matchup. I don't need to mention it anymore. But is there anyone else out there who could get that double haul? I thought about Luke Shaw. I thought about Trent. But I think they can both concede. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Liverpool concede this week.
Palace conceded 114 headed shots last season, and it's the most. Newcastle, for example, they conceded the third most. It's 103. So I think there's a great shout. He did play the 120 minutes, though, didn't he, yesterday?
He did. Yeah, that's true.
I saw leadership in him, so I think that's development as a player. I like the shout for Zouma.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I'm going to bring you on the next one. The trap. This is the trap.
Oh man!
I think anyone who owns Kufal rely on attacking returns this week. That's my call. That's my call. Newcastle have a positive 1.1 fixture difficulty, so unless Moyes is going to go super cagey, which actually I hope he doesn't, because I'm probably going to own 2 attacking West Ham players. So if he goes super cagey, then I expect the WhatsApp group to go completely nuclear. Because there's going to be some ranting going on for sure. I just think there's a very strong chance that West Ham could concede. I just have that feeling. I don't know. It might be more of a feeling in the water than anything else. But what do you reckon? Willock's now there. Is he going to play? Is Willock going to go straight in? Might come off the bench for 20 minutes.
I think he's got to be registered by tomorrow noon for him to play, which is going to be a bit tight. And regardless of Willock playing or not, double up on West Ham looks like a trap. But a lot of teams, I keep telling to all those rate my teams that come into the inbox that doubling up is not something that I would advise at the beginning of the season, because it's easy to double up later, but it's tough to downgrade on a double up if it goes wrong, because you double up on Antonio and Benhama, say 6.56, it's gonna be hard to move out, and then it is always the case that the one you move out will score and the other you keep not doing well. Yeah, so it's,
that's fairly normal, right? I mean, that happens all the time.
So I wouldn't.
I just don't think it's as good a matchup as people think it is. Attacking, I actually really like it defensively. I mean, I really like it from an attacking perspective for West Ham. I really do. I mean, look, of course, West Ham's fixtures are not terrible with respect to defense. I'm not saying they're bad picks. I'm not saying Kufal's a bad, or Sufal, or whatever his name is. I'll call him Kufal because I'm from Grimsby. But he's not a bad pick. But it's not the point. I'm looking at it from this week. So we are looking at it on Matchup Show. We tend to look at it on a week-by-week basis as much as we can, with a little eye on the future.
So let me add the little eye on the future. So next week, Shofal faces Leicester, right? And Leicester they conceded 358 crosses from their left. So that would be Shofal's side, compared to only 289 from the right. So that's a difference of almost 70 more crosses from the left. So next week's matchup against Leicester, again, I think favors Shofal. And then the week after, they play Palace. And we've already spoken about how Palace is weak on their left side, and that's Shofal again. So Shofal has 2 matchups that are really fantastic after this week. But I like the shout for the trap this week.
So maybe he's actually, if you look at it from a 3-week block, Gabe, it's probably fine. But
he's a fantastic pick for over a 3-week block.
Thank you for that. I might bring him in now. Maybe bench him. Anyway, oh God, I've drank a full bottle of wine whilst we've been talking.
You need the next one.
No, I can't. I can't go and fetch me a bottle of wine. Cat's sat next to me now. Right. Okay, that's the matchups. So it's took us a while, but I think it's been really good. Guys, please give us some feedback. What you think to what we've done? Too detailed, not detailed enough. What would you like to see? Who didn't we pick? If you think that we've missed someone, tell us. Right? It's very important. We're all in this together. So anyway, we've got a little break. We're just going to exercise our vocal cords, and we're going to advertise Surya's wonderful website. And he's on it. He's on now for the first time. I remember, Surya, I was in the pub when I was talking to you about writing this advert. Quite normal, really, when I'm in the pub, right? But look, Let me try and find it for a start. Let's just have a 10-second break or 20-second break, and I'm just going to say this: what are you waiting for? Are you craving more FPL content? Then look no further than allaboutfpl.com. Head over there for weekly articles from some of the top content creators on the planet. So what are you waiting for? Head over to allaboutfpl.com, the website for all your FPL needs. Right, and now we have the Algo 11, and I've just ballsed that up, but anyway, never mind. Let me now get the thing, because you're now going to have the Algo 11 is going to get launched for the new season. It's on the slipway. We're going to launch this ship straight into the river, and we're going to see what this Algo is actually going to throw out at us for this week. Now, here we go. Ready? I'm getting quite good at this, aren't I?
That's nice.
It's all right, isn't it? It's a shame we're not on HD. That's what we'll have to do next. We'll have to go to HD, Gabe. We've been talking about it for a while. I'm getting bored of this standard definition. It's really boring me. Right, Algo 11. What are the rules? We are going to pick a team every week, which we think is going to score as high as possible. Now, of course, you're not necessarily picking a team for a week, but you might be looking for that one player who might jump out at you and go, do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. So how are we going to pick them? Right. Well, what we're going to do is, for now, we're going to pick a team value of 100 million. Why? Because that's what our budget is. But it will increase as we go forward. How it'll increase? I don't know. We'll decide as we go. No more than 3 players greater than 30% rotation risk from the last 6 game weeks. No more than a double up in goalkeeper or defence or attack. That's another thing now. After last year, we kept trebling up on people, so I've changed that. Minimum of 3.5 expected points per 90 to get rid of the shits, because there's 1 or 2 every now and again appear.
To get rid of the shits just sounds so wrong.
Oh, I don't care. The final 15 is shortlisted by the I'm at work now. Shortlisted by the algorithm and the price, and then the captain and the vice captain come straight from the algorithm, so the calculation. But the selection, and this is important here, the selection is going to be done by the form, because the algorithm works in a certain manner, but what we have to do at the end of the day, we have to look for points. So the algorithm picks the players, and then we pick it based on, then we look at it based on points. So who are we going for this week? Who do we think are going to be the best players for this game week? If you looked at it in isolation, and it's there. And the capped, so here we go. It's gone with 4-4-2, by the way, but it's gone with, at the back, well, first of all, it started with Sanchez in goal. And the reason it's done that is because it spent so much money everywhere else. I had to put a 4.5 goalkeeper in. Couldn't do anything else. So let's have a look at the defence. Trent, Azpilicueta. Wouldn't have been Azpilicueta. It would have been Reece James. Mm-hmm. But I can't pick him because I don't think Reece James is going to play. Rudiger and Dean. Okay. In midfield, Souček. Gabe.
Little Prince. Get in there, little Prince.
He's there. The fixtures, it likes the fixture.
Mm-hmm.
The Liverpool double up of Mane and Salah, with Salah being the captain and Greenwood, and up front Antonio Iheanacho. Now I can't leave Iheanacho out. As I say, I think Rodgers is drunk. I think he must be smashed why he's not playing him. So I'm leaving him in. I could have took him out, but I've left him in. And on the bench, we've got Steele in goal, White, Brownhill, and it could have been anyone, 4.5. But if we look at the metric on the side, you can see Salah tops that metric when it comes to the algo, and it is slightly different from the metric, the captaincy metrics. It doesn't take into account 1 returns and 2 returns this, so it is slightly different, just to let you know. So you've not necessarily nailed the captain just yet. But Salah 82, Mane 77, Alexander-Arnold 77. Then you've got Iheanacho, Dean, Azpilicueta, Greenwood, Rudiger. Why am I picking by points? Because Brownhill's above Antonio. No way, Jose. I'm definitely playing Antonio over Brownhill. You can see the points wise. Greenwood actually is top of the points at 8.1 per 90 for the way the metric's working, or the way the algo's working. So there we go. So that's it. So what do you think, guys? I mean, look, this is here to be shot at. I reckon 66 points there.
So I noticed you have 0.5 million in the bank.
Yes.
So you don't like any of the 5.0 goalkeepers, I'm assuming.
I could have brought one in, but maybe I didn't notice. But to be honest with you, I don't know whether Sanchez was higher. I think he might have been higher than Meslier. Yeah. I think he might have been higher than Meslier because of the matchup.
Because of the away.
Because Leeds' matchup is so bad.
Yeah, because they're away. That's interesting.
And of course, remember the rotation is so bad for the Manchester United goalkeepers. I can't work out who it's the algorithm.
Well, Henderson's injured, right? So he won't even be available. So yeah, it'll definitely be De Gea.
Yeah, well, God help them then. Right, anyway. Okay. So that's that. What's this? Akib, rest up your talking pipe, Chris. What's this? Where's Bungle? Throw him out. Where's Bungle? Throw him out. Where's our bloody moderator?
Banger is saying that that Bruno is scary.
Yeah, it is, but it's thinking about it from a 1 week. I actually think Mane and Salah is a very adequate shout for this week. In fact, I wouldn't be at all. I would really not be objectional if you were thinking of getting yourself into a position where you could go to Lukaku or someone like that going forwards and drop Bruno out and leave someone like that. And I wouldn't be at all objectional to that. Being honest with you, because I think Lukaku is going to be an excellent captain option going forwards as well. Maybe not quite early, but he's certainly a good option. But look, that's what it is. It's there to be shot at. Let's see how it does. So, right, we are now going to go onto the captaincy, and that is going to be obviously this is the point at which we announce the captaincy metric for this week. And just to remind you, it's also there to be shot at. It got 80% hit rate last year. We're going to do it slightly differently this year, and I'll just explain why. But for now, let's see what it says. And there we go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom.
No surprise.
Sorry, it's boring, isn't it? It's so boring. I was hoping it'd be someone else, but it isn't. Has anything changed, though, when we're talking about the captain metric? Well, yes, it has. A tiny bit. Injured players and late returners have been left off. We're still looking at 12 fixtures for hauls and returns. But now, expected points are now being drawn from their respective expected points for home and away performance. So we're actually now, last year it didn't do that. So now you will see whether a player, the expected points will be how they are performing at home or away. So that's a change. So I think that might make it better. There is also another point which I've made, which is a slight change, and that is that rotation risk is now going to be taken into effect very, very slightly. Not a lot, but if you look there, for example, Salah has a rotation risk of 7.6. Okay, that's his percentage rotation. That's what he's rotated in the last few game weeks of last season. So that would deduct 0.76, so it's 10% of that. It would take off the algo. So you can see there how it's not really affected him. It's Mane's been pulled away from Salah a bit lower. So Salah's top up's 86. Mane's second on 82. That's pulled him down because he's 2.3. So he'd have been 84, right? Something like that. Jota dropped further because he's 41% rotated. That tells you what the algo thinks if rotation isn't there. So if you're very confident that Jota is going to start and is going to get a good portion of time on that pitch, but the algorithm actually likes him.
He jumps above Mane, correct?
Yeah, it puts him above him. Yeah.
84, yeah. He's close to Mane.
puts him just above. Look, there's rounding up there. So you remember I've rounded up the metric and not rounded up the rotation. So just be aware of that. There's some slight variances. But look, generally speaking, look, let's look at it. It's a clean sweep for Liverpool. Salah, Mane, Jota, 1, 2, 3. Fernandes, 4. Mo is a standout. I mean, there's so many reasons for it this week. First of all, fantastic fixture difficulty, 125.6. Doesn't get much better than that, guys. Well, it does next week, but we'll see that. Solid chances of returns. He's hauled before in game week 1. He did last year. Who captained him last year, boys? Game week 1? Yes, me too. Yeah. No, God, Gabe's shaking his head.
I think the last time Overman was spoken from an FPL perspective was game week 1 last time. So,
yeah.
He got 10 points as captain, then that's it.
Yeah. So look, 7.2 points per 90, low rotation risk. What's not to like with Salah? Mane's got slightly better haul and returns than Salah, right? Salah hasn't had a haul for some time, but is that just a matter of time before he gets one? I think it is. But Mane's got slightly lower expected points. Jota pulled down by rotation risk. But he's got better points at 9.1 expected. And Bruno, but that's because he's not playing as much time, right? Probably. And Bruno, 4th, good fixture, 120, really nice. 7.3 expected points per 90, really nice. The question in the thing, why no Grealish? Well, Grealish's data was from Aston Villa, not from Manchester City. So we start again. The same with Danny Ings. We need to look at them, and I mean, look. Let's face it. Would you recommend a Grealish captaincy this week when we don't know whether he's going to start or not? I can't see how the metric can recommend it. That's my view, guys. What do you think?
I think Greenwood is what picking my eye here. I think he's level on Fernandes if you remove the rotation.
Yes. And that I like that, because what you've done is you've thought for yourself. None of this spoon feeding bollocks. You've thought for yourself here, and you've actually gone, do you know what? And this is why I've left this here. You can actually go, okay, 77 plus 3.5, that's 80.5. That puts him 3rd, or possibly around 3rd.
Yeah.
I like that. It's a good call. I wouldn't be at all objectionable to that, but I think it's a bit brave. I think it's one of those weeks. I think this is one of those weeks where you want to start solidly. And you know what? If everybody captains Salah and he blanks, then who cares? It's mine almost for game week 1. And that's just the way I play FPL.
Yeah. From a captaincy perspective, I think it's wise to go Salah, because especially after, if he hauls and you don't captain him, you're already 20 points behind, and and worstly, if you don't own him, you're 40 points behind. Maybe if he hauls 20 points, so you don't want to be at that position. But I mentioned Greenwood from a transfer perspective, not as a captaincy option, because he does seem to be very high on the metric, and the metric needs to be respected because it has a very great track record all through the last season. So yeah, but personally, I've never overthink this captaincy thing. It's Salah for me ever since game week 38 ended. So I am going to play it safe. If he blanks, well and good. There is a lot of mass behind, a lot of people going behind that. It's not a problem. But if you fail, it gives you the pressure of chasing. It gives you a rank of 3-4 million in game week 1. That's going to be a very, very uphill task. I'm not saying you can't climb up. You can climb up, but I still remember being ranked 1.5 million after game week 1 in spite of captaining Salah. But yeah,
I mean, look, there's a question about Trent as well. No Trent. Well, first of all, he wouldn't even focus on it because his fixture difficulty is not great with respect to Liverpool's fixture, with respect to their matchup. They can easily concede. Now, of course, he can create something, and of course, he can get something. But look, the rules for the metric are very, very straightforward at the start of the season. We try to stick for premiums. We've left 1 or 2 in there, but we are fairly conservative at the start of the season with respect to the metric. It's only when we start to see players starting to emerge do we start adding them in. We added Rafinha in last year. We added Gundogan in last year. didn't we? Who else did we add in last year? There was a couple more, I think. Bamford was nowhere near, was he? At one stage, we added Bamford in once we realised that his numbers actually matched some of the premiums.
I think we may have added Antonio for a while, perhaps.
Antonio is, yes, there was other players like that. So there may be more players going to come into this, but for now, let's start steady, like we probably are starting FPL, and let's start with that the target on these premiums. I think that's the way I'm coming from.
One thing I'll say, Brendan Rodgers should take a look at this, because Iheanacho has a haul percent of 25 and return percent of 75. Just to underscore that point that
I told you he's drunk.
Needs to be on the field.
I've told you he's been on the red wine. He must have been. He must have been down to St. Million and bought a couple of crates on. Right, during the summer. I tell you. Good stuff. Oh, wine, I love it. Right, the CATPICK. He was here a bit ago. He's just run off. For those who don't know, we do have a bit of fun in that haul, apart from the normal fun and frivolity of things going wrong and Nima ranting about FPL and Gabe's jackhammers going off in the back of his thing, and Hibbo forgetting to even open his camera for a full show. We left the camera slot, left the slide across his webcam, so he wondered why he couldn't be seen on camera.
Oh, the early days of Hibbo.
For a whole show. But so we're well known for cock-ups, but so is the cat. So I have a cat called Oliver. You know, never mind Gianni, what's his name, Sharko. We'll have a face-off between Sharko and Oliver one day. But we have Oliver the cat, and he has a bit of fun. We always put a captaincy poll out every week. We only got 634 votes, so get yourselves in order, boys. For next week, I want 1,000 next week.
It's a boring poll this week, to be fair.
It was boring, yeah, you're right. And look at the votes: 80% Salah, and no one anywhere near Mane, Bruno, and Havertz. And I put Havertz / Lukaku because I couldn't even work out who it would be. So I thought, look, the rumor. This is how it's going to work, boys. If Lukaku is in the squad, the cat would pick Lukaku if he picks him. Right, that's it. If not, it's Havertz. But I wanted to have a Chelsea option in there just for a bit of a laugh. So let's see what this moron has decided. Right, you ready? There we go. So the idiot picked Chelsea.
The matchup's good.
Well, it is a good matchup. He's not stupid, is he? So anyway, Oliver the cat's gone that way. But you know what? That might give people the confidence to captain Havertz if indeed he's there. I've seen people do it before. You know, we'll see. So look, that's that. Right. We don't normally do this, but we're going to do it today. We're going to do some team reveals. Right. So remember what's going to happen. These team reveals may change. All right. I'm starting. It's me first. Ready. 3, 2, 1. Boom. There we go. This is me. So what have I got? I've got Sanchez in goal. Boring. I was thinking about Backman, but Watford have been awful in pre-season. I can't go there. Trent, Shaw, Tsimikas. Boring. Ben Rama, really like him. Love Benny the Docker, the cock of the north. It's an old Grimsby song. Benny Rama, I'm gonna have him. We're gonna have Salah as captain. We're gonna have Bruno in there. Why? Because I want to have the flexibility to jump to a forward, and I think Bruno gives you that flexibility to easily switch without hitting that wildcard button to downgrade him for somebody else. Greenwood I've got in. I know you don't like him, Gabe, but I do. And I think the more I see it, the more I like him. Now, and up front, I've got Tony, buoyed by the fact we have got another option at 6 million now in Armstrong. I'm not saying he's any good, but what I'm saying it's an option. Ings and Antonio. So I'm playing 4-3-3 on the bench. Steele, other Brighton goalkeeper, because I think he was the third goalie, but there's another one who's, I think there was one cropped, isn't there?
One got injured.
I forget his name. Brownhill, he's been in my draft since day one. White and Ayling. And this is the White and Ayling rotation, right? If you look at White and Ayling there, when Tsimikas falls off a cliff, you've got Ayling in game week 3, Burnley. You've got White, Norwich, and then you've got in game week 5, you've got an option between Burnley or Newcastle with White or Ayling. And that's why I like that. So that buys me time to dump Tsimikas onto the bench and let him rot. And that's my idea. That's where I am now. What could I do? I could make Greenwood into Gundo. There's been a lot of debate about whether KDB is going to come back, and I've had a conversation today with someone in the know within Man City, one of the fans there, and the rumor is, or not so much the rumor, but the feeling is that they're not going to rush KDB back. Now, if they don't rush KDB back, then Gundogan's a very, very solid pick. He's a solid pick with KDB in the side, but he's even better without. So could I still go Gundogan? Maybe. Could I? Ben Rama could become Barnes, but probably not after I've just heard the rumours that Barnes might only play 70 minutes. I'm going to go with Ben Rama. I think he looked on fire. And if Mr. Thick Thighs thinks that he's in form, then I'm going for it, right? Because Antonio loved him, right? What they say, he's on fire, man. Yeah. I'm not going to do an accent. It's wrong. But no, they say, he really does. It sounds like Ben Rama has come out firing. It looks like he's got that slot from Lingard's not going to be there. He's got that slot. Let's go for it. So that's me. I could also go 3-5-2, but I don't think I will. But if I did that, it would be Ings to Junk and Brownhill to Mahrez. So that's me. I've got 8s and 9s, solid 8s, solid 9s. Can Pep turn Gundogan into a striker? Drop Tony to a nothing and get Gundo in? Yeah, I mean, there's options. But
so, Mariner, you had showed, and I talked you out of a Grealish, right? So one thing, Sam Lee wrote about this on Sam Lee on Twitter. He's the Manchester City correspondent for the Athletic, and he actually expects Grealish to play as an 8. So if Grealish is playing as an 8, I think that might set Gundogan a little bit back, as if KDB were playing. So I think that would be a concern with Gundogan for me. And the other thing is, even Pep admitted it, that they start slowly. Man City starts slowly. They're getting pieces together. There's some shouts for Ferran Torres. I think that's a huge gamble, big risk, and unnecessary.
My beating heart. Can you say that again?
little Ferran Torres. We would love to see him get a run.
Sorry, can you do it? Can you do a Spanish accent? Can you go Ferran Torres?
Ferran Torres. Yeah.
You guys are getting there.
the Spanish accent from Chennai.
But I will. I do want to echo. Just bring up the point that Tom Stevenson made.
Sorry.
And Tony in that first game, I think people are just kind of assuming that he's going to score. I think Arteta is going to make things very difficult and cagey in the first game for a promoted side. I think he's going to be conservative. If he keeps, Tony relies on shots in the box to score. If he can keep Brentford out of the box, I think Tony could blank. And I think if Tony blanks, then he could drop in price. Now I think you have 1 million in the bank here.
I was just going to say I have 1 million in the bank, so I've got that flexibility to jump left, right, or centre. And I want that because my initial thought is to try and hold out to wildcard to game week 7 and do a little mini wildcard around the international break, maybe even take a hit, make 3 changes in game week between game week 3 and 4, and just should we say, just tweak it a little bit, sort it out, and then try to get to game week 7. Because if I can get to game week 7, I think the wildcard option there is very, very good because there's some fixture swings around there. And that's what I really like the idea of. I think maybe if you went a little bit early on Leeds and Chelsea, you might not get the full benefit straight away. That was just my perspective. Anyway, right, that's me done. Gabe, you.
I'm up. All right, so this is my team as of now. I don't see myself changing it. I'm quite happy with it. Yeah, it speaks to me. So here's my team in back. I have Sanchez, which I hate. I hate that pick, but I just can't think of another. I hate all goalkeeper picks to start the season, so I'm going with the safe one. I'm in a 4-4-2. My back four is Luke Shaw, Trent, Schofel, and Shimikas. My midfield four is Heung-min Son, Benrahma, Bruno Fernandes, and Salah, captain. And then my front two of Ings and Antonio. On the bench, I have Steele, Veltman, Gilmore, and Scarlett. So, I mean, my thinking here is there's a lot of there are a lot of template picks and Shaw, Trent, Bruno, Salah. So I have that anchor and safety, but I do like to play aggressively and so I'm going with I think after the Man City fixture, which I think Son could get a return in, I think people are going to be looking to get Son in, and I feel like I'll be like kind of one step ahead by already having Son. So it's not a typical pick for me to pick, especially a Spurs player in a tough matchup. So I'm going a little bit outside of kind of my box and exploring a little bit, being a little adventurous there. I do see. I love Benrahma. I think Benrahma is going to be play that Lingard role, and if he can stay clinical with his finishing, then I think he could provide great value for his 6.0 price. And then Antonio, I want to get him before they start Europa League and before he gets injured. And then Ings, I don't know. I don't believe anything Dean Smith says, so I'm not buying the Ings as a. He said maybe Ings can play as a false 9 and Watkins will be will still lead the line. I don't see that personally. I don't see them switching the whole team like that. I think it's just talk, and Watkins will be moved wide and will come in and maybe move to play next to Ings. But I do believe he'll start wide. But I do have my eye on Watkins just in case Dean Smith is telling the truth. And if Ings drops in and plays a false 9 and Watkins is leading, is pushing the back line, then an Ings to Watkins move could be in the cards for me.
Okay, not bad. But you've gone 4-4-2. Surya, what did our poll come up with? What was the percentage of people who went for 4-4-2?
1 second.
It was like
about 20%,
19 or 20%.
When we screenshotted it.
It's 19.7%. Yeah.
Okay.
19.7%. Yeah.
I mean, look, Son is the sort of player I'll be hiding behind the sofa from. I agree with you, Gabe, on that. I like that. I like that pick, and I also think that structure-wise, it allows you quite a bit of flexibility to move about and perhaps move down from Son potentially to other players who might emerge. So yeah, I quite like that. I also like the Scarlett pick because remember we're FPL Robin Hoods. Is his name Will?
Will.
Is his name Will Scarlett?
It is now.
That's it. It's Will Scarlett from
Will
now
Scarlett,
on. Right.
yeah.
We're FPL Robin Hoods, right? For anyone who knows the story, it's Will Scarlett from now on. Right. Okay. Surya, just to you, and then we'll quickly do a couple of very, very fast questions, Q&As, and then we'll get out. So
I think the defense explains itself. I think Sanchez pretty much should be the 4.5 keeper for the season. Shaw, Kufal, Trent, I think all of them can explain themselves. I think again Kufal is in here just because of his attacking threat. I know that clean sheet is still hanging by the thread, and I still want the Jota slot, so there is no Simikas. So, and as Tom from Who Got the Assist and Chris said, I've never played rotating players ever in FPL before, but then I still feel Ireland and White could be a decent pair to rotate from game week 2. So that's that's that combo that could rotate for me if needed going forward. And yeah, Bruno Salah, I think pretty much are nailed. And two players that have caught my eyes is Benrahma and Barnes, the double Bs, I would say. Yeah, I think it's pretty much the case of them being good. Benrahma has always been spoken about to be a Premier League player, a Premier League quality player. It is prime time. He's supposed to be played through the middle in Lingard's absence. So, and he loves to take a shot. And in fact, just like Lingard, wherein he converted goals from XGs of 0.1, 0.19. It's all, he takes those minor chances. And I feel Benrahma is that kind of a player. And Barnes too. I think Gabe hates Barnes, but I'm going to take him as Dale 2.0. So yeah, Barnes is in there as well. Yeah, and Ings is a striker that I've always loved. He's again a stat buster, a myth buster, as in you take up his stats and see he's not there anywhere in terms of big chance, in terms of XG, in terms of touches, but he does the job and he's nicely priced. Bamford, again, 198 points last season for a 5.5 forward. And if he does the same at 8 million, I'd gladly take that. Yeah, and as I said, I feel United would concede, even though I'm a United fan. Tuni, again, I still feel Arsenal will lose that clean sheet. So, yeah, Tuni in there. But one thing that could change probably by tomorrow's deadline is that if I switch to a 4.5 striker like Obafemi or Scarlett, what I could do is bring in Son. And if Son is there, it's Son, Fernandes, and Salah. 3 players who scored more than 220 points last season, pretty much nailed. Yeah, that's the only dilemma that I have. So that's my team.
Would you drop out Bamford? Would you drop out Bamford?
Yeah, that's sticking my mind. But this is what I have, and this is something that yeah, I agree with Bamford.
I really like it. And do you know what? Bamford could easily. I mean, I'm not saying Bamford's a bad pick because he could easily score. I'm not quite sure whether he'll score this week, but I mean Bamford. Remember what we did, and again, guys, if you look back at the content that Haul have put out so far this season, you'll already see that Bamford is rated very, very highly, even at 8 million.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Even discounted.
Yeah, even at 8 million, he scores 198 points. That's incredible amount of points for someone that low that price. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you've got a load of 8s and 9s out of 10, and I think, Gabe, I'll just look back up. You've got 7s, 8s, and 9s. I think you've got 7s and 8s.
I didn't see a 7 there, man. I don't think that's how.
I think the ones that get low.
Who got a 1? Who got a 1? Did anyone get a 1? Nima's not here. That explains why nobody got a 1.
So, someone in the chat mentioned that Lukaku has been announced. He's confirmed.
Yes, I've just seen that. I just flashed it up on the screen actually.
Okay.
So yeah. So that's the team reveals. So look, we've got 157. I was hoping we wouldn't go this long because this content's really a bit finite. So everyone's gonna have to dive in and find the bit they want to watch. But look, that's life. Questions? Can we do a couple of minutes? Just do some very, very rapid fire questions and see what's going on.
Yep.
So, all right. Have we got any in there? Oh my goodness. What do we think of Ferran Torres punt from Yusuf? Yusuf Films. Strange name. What do you think about Ferran Torres punt for game weeks 1 and 2 over Rafinha? He starts up top for City. I think he'll start for the first 2. Any views?
I just don't have confidence in him starting. Is all.
Fair. Look, he's 7 million. I mean, God. I mean, if anybody gets that right and he goes off on one, then you're gonna be flying, aren't you? But you can just sense what's going to happen. It's all going to end in tears, right?
It always does.
It would for me anyway. I can guarantee you. Amund here says he's made a Wood draft. Anyone? What do you think about Chris Wood? He's just come back from the Olympics, but he finished the season absolutely flying. He's playing Brighton. We think it might be a trap. We've all got the Brighton goalkeeper, but I would be all surprised if Chris Wood doesn't score. And if you want $500,000, He's only 7 million. What do you reckon?
Surya. Yes. I mean, it's opening night at Turf Moor. That's, I guess, the most. I don't want Chris Wood. I don't want a Burnley attacker. There's so many to choose from.
I mean, Chris Wood, the wrecker of ranks. I mean, Chris Wood single-handedly ruined my season. I'd admit you, he did. I couldn't get him by 0.1. I think I've told this story before. I ended up with blasted. I was going to swear then, but I'm not. I ended up with Vidra. That ended in tears, didn't it? Have we got any other questions here? Because otherwise, I think what we'll do is we'll bugger off. Because I think
from Yachdan, is it risky to start both Jota and Greenwood from Gameweek 1?
Jota and Greenwood,
both.
I think you're at least going to lose. You're at least going to have to rotate. One of them's going to rotate out. There's two, I would say. Sooner rather than later. You might say both are going to rotate out, Gabe. I think one of them will rotate out, and I think it'll be Jota. If it was me, I think he's more likely to rotate than Greenwood as it stands.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it worth? If you have a plan and you don't mind making a transfer to Gundogan or someone like that in game week 2, I think it's not a bad move.
Or even Harvey Barnes. You can move down to Harvey Barnes. So it's aggressive, but it's viable. We do have some more questions coming in here. Meslier versus Sanchez or Bachmann. If I could afford it, I would go Meslier. But Meslier is more of a season-long pick. I expect to actually bring Meslier in maybe on my wild card. But I don't think there's an absolute need to start with him. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, no, I like Meslier, but I want that 500,000 for something else. So at the moment, the way I look at it is if I'm going to upgrade a goalkeeper, I'll probably do it when I've got some cash in the bank. I'll do it later. I'm more keen to that. We've got Dunk versus Soufal, Sire.
Soufal all the way. Soufal.
Right. Okay. How interesting a pick is Raul Jimenez, guys? He's interesting in game week 4.
Yeah. I think Villa's fixture turn, Wolves fixtures get better. I think.
Yeah. So there you go, Adip. Wait till game week 4 is our suggestion. Maybe a little bit early, but he has had a pre-season.
Yeah.
So maybe that's okay. Jamie, Tony or Antonio, boys? Well, I'm on both.
Antonio all the way.
Yeah. If you were picking one, it would be Antonio.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 3 a.m. in Sydney, according to Rob A. Great show. Good night, Jen. My God, what dedication.
Good night, Rob. Good morning.
How are you not sleeping? He's too busy doing his draft, mate. What do you expect? No one sleeps at this time of year.
None isn't sleeping. Yeah.
So where was it? Mohamed, Mahrez, DCL, Tonio. Oh, what? Mahrez to DCL?
No, Mahrez, DCL, and Tony, or Gundogan.
Oh, sorry, no, I see. Right, there we go.
Or Gundogan, Antonio, and DCL. Well, basically, Mahrez and Tony, or Gundogan and Antonio. Gundogan and Antonio for me.
Yeah, I don't like the DCL pick. Yeah, I agree.
Gundogan and Antonio.
Yeah, I don't. That's my view anyway. Any more questions? We got any more? Why is no one talking about Pope? Isn't Pope injured? Is he out? I don't know. Is he fit? I don't know. I was looking at Fan Team earlier, and he was flagged for some reason, unless I've lost my mind. Because I thought I was going to bring him in. Why is no one Pope, me, or Loughton? Loughton is in my fan team this week.
I have Loughton on my watch list, but Burnley are a wait and see for me. There's better value elsewhere.
I mean, look, Pope is he 5? Is he 5.5 again? Is he still 5.5? I've not even looked at him, to be honest.
I haven't looked.
If he's 5.5, probably go Emi Martinez.
Yes, obvious. Yeah, if you're going to go for a 5.5. And
James, 5.5.
5 million for me is pure robbery. Well, it's the same for me, man. I wouldn't be worth 5 million either. Right, okay. Claret isn't particularly optimistic. Greenwood versus Trent. What? Well, that's Trent for me.
Yeah. But go with the name player.
I mean, Trent's a bit of a cheat code, quite frankly. You're just going to put him in and just leave him for me. If he gets anything like what he should be, Trent is just a fantastic option.
So what Amund was referring to, FPL Claret, Jimmy on Twitter, he's in a dark place regarding his team, I think, and I think rightly so.
Well, we're in a dark place here. It's 10 past 1. Is it 6 minutes past 1 in the morning in Singapore? It's coming up to 11 o'clock at night in Chennai. It's coming up to, what time is it? Oh, you're at least in the morning there, Gabe. You're getting ready for a cup of coffee.
It's 1 a.m.
Yeah, and make sure you physically assault that like button, boys. Like it owes you a shitload of money. Mash that subscribe button like it's a hot piece of ass calling your name, and leave a comment. That is from Mr. Nasty, Nima Cafe.
If it wasn't already obvious, that's from
FPL Pikachu.
That's awesome.
Last question: Target or Kufal? Sufal.
I will say Sufal.
Yeah, Sufal for me.
Do you know what? The only thing I quite like Target for is covering that blasted 10-point. I nearly said it. Fucking that. I did say it. That 10-point Martinez score, which is coming in the first 3 game weeks,
and he is highly owned.
At least one. And I just think that Target is not the most stupid pick, because Target is another player who could go to white. He's another one who can rotate to white. So you can rotate him out, but would you leave Target on the bench? Would you bench a 5 million player to start with? I'm not so sure. Right, haulers, we are done. 2 hours and 6 minutes. It's been a long one. It's been a good one. What to say? We're here. It's the start of the season. The season's what, 26 hours away, 25 hours away, something like that.
We have the FPL Crow's Nest tonight.
FPL Crow's Nest, yeah, provided I'm not at the bloody works meeting, but yeah, hopefully I'll be there. But yeah, Crow's Nest in the morning, lunchtime Singapore time. Come and say hello to us on Twitter. Surya, thank you very much.
Sure.
Always a pleasure to have you on, and we love your stuff at All About FPL. So do, guys, go and read everything on there. There is so much stuff on there. We love it. I'm on there all the time, and there's a link to Net Hall, of course, on there as well, which we really like a lot. Yeah. Gabe, as always, my friend.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, guys. Haulers, what else can I say? I hope you've enjoyed our pre-season stuff. I hope you've enjoyed game week 1 of the Compass show and the matchup show. I hope you've not been too insulted by Nima with respect to his ratings teams. He only rates he likes his own team, doesn't like anybody else's. But anyway, that's just me saying it. No, we love them, really. We love the boys on the Compass show. We love Hibbo and we love Nima. And well, please give this pod please give the YouTube a like. Please hit subscribe. We will see you on the other side of game week 1.
Good luck, everyone.
Go get those green arrows, guys. Go and smash game week 1.
Net that haul, baby.
I'm just going to leave you with something to make you laugh.
Definitely our most popular member of the Net That Haul crew, and you can definitely be our 5th crewmate now going forwards. Definitely be our 5th crewmate now going forwards.
Hello, darkness, my old
So, just while we're here as well, guys, so please do continue.
I saved it till the end. We'll see you all later, boys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.